Hello, dreamers. This is Somnia Stellarum. We are in a brand new world, actually. It has a different sun, and I'm holding something a little bit interesting here. But that's not what this world is all about, or what this video is all about, I should say. Today, I'm going to do another Let's Chat, and what we're going to be talking about is AI and the impact of it on our society. So the reason for this is on the weekend, there was a big news story, and I wanted to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about that. So just to give you a bit of background, I am an engineer. I went to engineering and got my bachelor's of engineering. Hello, Piggy. Saw right through you there. Okay, so I went to engineering. I got my bachelor's in engineering, and I know a few things about stuff like AI and technology and different stuff like that. So what I wanted to talk to you about was the Go match that was played by an AI computer just this weekend. And if I do that, there's nothing I can do. Okay, so anyways, what Go, well, for those who don't know, Go is a game that was invented in China, I believe, and you place different colored stones. Here I've kind of represented it. I have no idea if this is even a good, I kind of looked at playing a few times, even before this news, and I'm terrible at it, so meh. So this is kind of my representation of Go. So it's not a very good representation. I'll be clear about that. I have no idea if this is good strategy or not. I've kind of tried to do stuff, but we'll see. Somebody's probably going to comment and say, oh, it was terrible positioning. You lost so much points and blah. And I'm not that concerned. I'm actually curious about learning. So if you want to come and let me know about that, that is more than fine. I'm welcome to that feedback, but that's fine. So what happened this weekend was there was a computer that was playing. It was actually an artificial intelligence AI computer that was playing against one of the top players in the world. And he actually won, or this computer actually won 4 out of the 5 games. There was some weaknesses that the human was able to kind of identify in the last few matches, and I was kind of watching a lot of the information about it just because it was so interesting. But I want to explain why I think that this is so much of a bigger deal than the Deep Blue. For those who don't know, Deep Blue was a computer that beat a chess champion in the late 90s, I believe. It beat one of the top chess champions of its time. So a lot of people are kind of comparing it to that. But what I can tell you, let me just explain. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to do this in this little test world that I've got set up. Because I've been kind of playing around with it for a little while. What I'm actually going to do, here, let's grab, oops. Not what I meant to do. Okay, what we're gonna do is just do something like this to give us a nice working platform. Just like that. Let's break that and do that. Okay, so what, let me explain how the previous computer did its work. So it was in a known board state. In the case of chess, it had the pieces kind of along the back at first, and maybe it started moving, and then the white pieces were kind of like, I don't know, whatever. This isn't supposed to be a great representation. I'm just saying, okay, it took this board state, and then it would extrapolate and say, okay, there's 10 pieces, or however many pieces there are in a chessboard. I'm a bad geek, I know. Okay, so you have 10 different ways from a known board state. Let's take black from a known board state here. We're just going to kind of represent a known board state here. You can go on to this state, this state, this state. You can kind of create a list. and there's arrows going to each one of these. You can almost find a way to connect these, but with lines and stuff. The chisels don't really allow me to do that, but that's okay. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at different board states, and you want to evaluate at each point how they're doing. And from there, you have another 10 board states that I'm just going to kind of represent. So that comes from this one. This one has another 10 board states. So let's just put that. So that it's a big tree, basically. That's what it is. So the Deep Blue algorithm actually went all the way through the entire tree because chess is a simple enough game that you can build a tree that's this big, and you can kind of go all the way to the end and say, okay, who's the winner in this case? Who's the winner in this case? Tabulate it all up. And then when I get to this spot here and I see, okay, this move is less likely to win than this move over all these thousands of other moves behind it, then I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to move to this one, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to check down the tree, do a search down the tree, and figure out exactly which move is my best move to win the game. That's how Deep Blue did it. That's how it worked. It was just a search algorithm. It's basically like a precursor to Google, was sort of what it was. Now, the difference between that and what happened with this Go game, this game has thousands of variations, millions of variations. There's like a crazy amount more variations on this game compared to chess. So that made Go a lot harder for a computer to do something like this in. So what they had to do instead, they still had this tree search algorithm. But what they were doing was they would take these positions, these initial moves, and they would guess what the best moves are using something called neural nets. Now, this is something some people might have heard. If you're in computers, you probably heard. But basically what neural nets are is they're imitations of the brain. They're using an imitation of the brain to try to calculate different things. And in this case, they were using them for two things. They were trying to calculate what the best moves were at any given board position, and also who's winning at this board position. So by calculating those two things, and then simplifying this search tree and then running the search tree again, this new computer was able to beat a grandmaster at Go. And the reason why this is so important is because neural nets are going to be, and the AIs that come from them, we call them deep networks. They are going to be impacting us a great deal. These are the things that are going to allow us to have cars that drive themselves and to automate a ton of stuff that nobody ever thought we could automate, because there's always something that you didn't know how to do. It's going to help us with healthcare. In fact, it's already helping with healthcare. So this is something that's going to be impacting us all. And I just want to kind of mention a few things about how they work and why they're so interesting. So neural nets are basically networks. So let's say I'm getting an input from this side, and I've got a whole bunch of neurons that are going to act as inputs. So these are going to take the inputs and they're going to read them. And what we're doing is we're actually creating layers of neurons. So what's happening is in each one of these neurons, we're calculating something. And we're coding information in these. And by the way that we're calculating it from the inputs, or from different combinations of the inputs and that sort of stuff, we're able to encode information in different layers and kind of create layers of information, of tranches of data that we're able to encode into each one of these layers. And then from that's how we're figuring out what decision we're going to make at the end. So this is going to be our decision. Should I go with option A, B, or C? So that's our end goal. We want to make decisions with these things. Now, the way that these neural nets work is we layer them and then we connect them from this input. We'll connect to each one of these other neurons. And then we'll assign weights and we'll kind of learn what those weights should be by looking at thousands and thousands or millions of test cases. So they're able to actually adapt and learn and encode information that we don't even know ourselves. So there was, if you watch the game, what was really interesting was the computer was able to read previous games and understand what was going on in previous games. And by studying those games and kind of updating these weights based on all that, based on what moves were actually winning in millions of games that it had in its database, it was able to learn some new techniques that even human players hadn't thought of, and they were able to kind of determine new methods and new ways of doing things, or kind of approaching it in special ways that often looked like mistakes, but either it was borne out or it just didn't work. So in the case where it was borne out, it might have made a mistake or something that looked like a mistake to the people that were watching, but then there was a good reason behind its decision to do that specific move. So it was quite impressive how it was able to do all these things. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is something that we should all be aware of, it's because we don't all have to know the specifics of how those layers work and what exactly are the calculations that are going into each neuron. But what we do need to know, we need to understand how these things work, because a lot of what people might think about these neural networks and about how they work can end up being a little bit false. Sometimes they're true and sometimes they're false. And you've got to be careful about that. So a big reason, or a big thing that is in my mind, is that we need to start we need to start looking at AI as a way to drive for us. And the reason why I say this is because if we continue down the path that we're on right now, which is to say we're letting all of the driving happen by humans, we're actually terrible drivers, and we're losing a lot of people's lives because of all these mistakes that we're making when we're driving. And I think we need to look at AI seriously as a way to improve the safety of the roads. And I think that's something that's going to happen in the next few years, probably regardless of what we think. And once cars are being driven by robots, the streets are going to be safer, but it also means that we're going to end up in a situation where there's a lot of jobs that are going to be that are drivers that are going to become redundant with robots driving. And I don't think it's going to stop there. I think engineers are at risk of having their jobs automated, especially since engineers tend to be more well paid on average because they're a higher skilled labor or whatever. And an economist can tell you why that would be the case. But I think that's going to start affecting even high-paid, high-skill jobs, because this is certainly a high skill game, and it doesn't stop a computer from learning it. And the techniques, these techniques to build these neural networks are getting better and better. And we're not going to see it stop at this. We're going to see, actually, Microsoft announced this week that they're going to have a plugin for AI to be able to run in Minecraft, in this world here. We're going to be able to get plugins that can allow AIs to run in this world and do stuff in this world and learn, and we'll see stuff like that happening there. So this is not something that's going to be stopping anytime soon, and I think we need to be prepared for it. We need to understand what these tools are and how we can use them. And certainly we can use them to make us all better. If we don't have to drive anywhere, it's certainly safer. It's certainly easier. It takes less energy when you're driving. It doesn't seem like it, but it actually stresses you out. So it is kind of a detriment to you on a whole. And I think that we need to be prepared for these changes, and I don't think we are right now. And I think that's my main goal with this talk, is to say, hey guys, AI is coming, and I want to see us be ready for this stuff. So that's basically it. And it was a lot of fun playing with these chisels and bits. Let's just play a few more. So I might want to, you know what, let's just see. Let's say, I don't know, hello. Let's see if we could do this. Probably not very well. I guess I could. Hey, look at that. Somnia can write hello. Okay, so you could turn stuff, and then let's see, let's get positive design. And now I should be able to place this down. Oh wait, how does it work? How about, I think I wrote them all. Whoops. Let's grab just one. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, look at that. Okay, and I can break that and pick it up. Isn't that fancy? Fancy, fancy. I kind of like that. And then I think if we put this there, put that like that, we can get stuff like that. Oh, is that cool? Okay, I like this. I really like chisel, and I want to be able to change, like, I want to do a spotlight on this because it'd be fun to, I don't know, do like, I'm sure there's going to be lots of stuff I can do. I want to do some stuff with chisel. Chisel and bits. Chisels and bits. Chisels and bits or chisel and bits? I'm not sure. I think it's chisels and bits. It doesn't say here. But that's okay. Okay, anyways, that is my Let's Chat for today. I think I rambled on for long enough. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear what you guys think as well. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon, okay? See you guys later. Bye.